In episode 4, I cover some of the beautiful hot springs and geysers I encountered in Biscuit Basin, such as here, which is a separate area from the Upper Geyser Basin, which encompasses Old Faithful, which I've been showing for the previous 3 episodes. A lot of coworkers have asked me how much hiking is involved in a trip to Yellowstone. Well, there are a lot of places like Biscuit Basin here where there are spacious parking lots. You don't have to wait more than a minute or two to find a car leaving, even during the worst of times when they're most crowded, and you can just park and start walking. It's mostly flat ground, but there are areas, boardwalks and trails that can be pretty challenging with steep inclines. So if you're not up for that, you can just avoid those places, and there's still plenty of stuff to see. A lot of the larger geothermal entities have famous names, but there are a lot of small features like these that don't have names. It would be impossible and kind of a turn off to name every single little thing. Basically, they're all interconnected one way or another. They're all fueled by the heat of magma 5 to 7 kilometers below the Earth's surface, which heats water that boils to the surface, or various other substances such as sulfuric acid, mud, etc. Different, naturally occurring compounds. For those of you who love water and bodies of it, there are bodies of water all over Yellowstone National Park. Small lakes, very large lakes, streams, rivers, brooks, small puddles, and all kinds of geothermal entities such as these. And it's really quite the sight. There's nowhere else that I've been that's like this. And I just love the sapphire color of some of these pools. There's water everywhere, and sometimes you'll see little hot springs right next to a raging river or a lake, and it's pretty interesting to see that. But I think they're all sort of interconnected, and sometimes these cooler, normal bodies of water supply water to these geothermal entities, and vice versa. So regarding to what I was talking about, food and meals in episode 3, for dinner you're obviously going to have a lot more choices, assuming you're lodged outside of Yellowstone National Park. You could also get lodging inside Yellowstone National Park in the hotels and cabins, but it's going to cost a lot more than it would outside. So it's really up to you, and it all depends on how much time and money you have. I'm just going to go ahead and make the assumption that if you're not with some kind of bus tour that has special deals for cheaper lodging in Yellowstone National Park, you're probably going to be situated and housed outside of Yellowstone National Park for much cheaper, and that means you're going to drive in and out. So by the end of a long day of hiking around and touring, it might be already 8 or 9 p.m., and that means you don't have that much time left in the day. The sun stays bright out for very long, especially during the summer. So it all depends on how much you can tolerate and what your physical stamina is, or who's the weakest link in your group. So basically, after you're done walking around all day and looking at stuff, you can drive out and go to a restaurant anywhere outside of Yellowstone National Park. So you have a lot more options there for dinner, but you really shouldn't spend all that much time at that either, and just rush back to your lodging and get a good night's sleep and get up early again for the next day so you can see more stuff. South Scallop Spring is very notable because of its location. It's right next to this big river.